Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. Always hanging out. Look at her. Man's best friend, huh, Teresa?
Woman's best friend.
Yeah, that too, huh? She's always everywhere we go, she goes. Well, we got Miss Teresa on the camera today, like always. Number one,
the thumb.
The thumbs up, definitely.
Somebody said that on one of the videos. I don't know. I had to say it. Sorry.
Been busy here. Definitely been really busy. We got Billy's 2004 Dodge and House 5.9 diesel, 48 RE tranny, I believe. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I mean that. You never know until you really pull the converter out of these things to see what you got going on. This tranny has been into before, so you know when that happens.
I'm not looking forward to this.
You never know what you're going to get when you start taking things apart when somebody's been in it before.
Wow.
Now, you can tell it looks like it lasts a little while. Got a lot of dirt on it. That's for sure. But when you come and see stuff like this, if somebody would do something like this, what would they do on the inside of the tranny? Now this Lost Reverse, he's a roofer. Roofing trailers, lives behind the truck, so you know it's always pulling something 24/7. But look at this. Big old wad of silicone here. It's got two 8mm bolts here. It should have Torx, or not, it should have Torx bolts, but they're what do you call them? They're angle cuts where they set down flush. You can see all the silicone.
I thought that was just like grease, a glob of grease.
It's coming off real nice. It's been leaking. That's why it's coming off real easy.
How's there silicone there?
Well, it shouldn't be silicone here. They don't have the right bolts.
Oh,
So
that's...
these should have a tapered Torx bolt right there.
I see.
You can see how the bracket is tapered. If you're going to do something like that, you know, they put this on dry. And then you got a bolt that's going to try to fit over a hole like that. You definitely know it's going to leak fluid around there. So if you're going to do something like that, you want to put some sealant down here under this. That way when you put your bolt in, you seal your threads and everything when you tighten it down. Which I do that even with the factory bolts. I seal the threads and put a little bit of sealant around here. That way I know it seals. So, but like I said, once you find that right off the bat, you're going, oh, what does the rest of it look like? We have our output speed sensor. Got quite a bit of metal on it. You know, I always talk about these. You want to look and see if they turn pink on the inside. You definitely know that you got fluid getting on the inside of them, because they will do it.
This fluid is so nasty. I'm not looking forward.
No. You know, you got fluid in the connector too, but since it was leaking all back here, you know, this whole area was covered in fluid. So, but these do get cracks in them. They start leaking to the body here, leak out the plug. If you look at our, let me get my flashlight. If you look at our neutral safety switch there inside the prong.
Oh yeah, fluid's coming out of it too.
Yeah. See, there's fluid coming out of the neutral safety switch even. Can you see that, Teresa?
Oh, I sure can.
It's just full of fluid. See that, guys?
Yep.
Now, if you look at the connector, there's no fluid in here. So that's a good sign there that most of them have fluid in them. If you look down here, of course, your overdrive housing, if you can see down here where that snap ring is worn the bore. Can you see that right there? Do I need to put my light a little different?
Well,
maybe like that.
I think you just need to...
Can you see it better that way, Teresa?
Yeah, I can see it
Can you
better
see it down in there, how that's wore like that? There you go. So, we do have a case saver that we put in these right here behind that big bearing that moves everything forward and keeps it out of that groove. Now, you do have to grind these tabs down to get this to set flush in the bottom of the case. That way the bearing will go back and you can get the snap ring back in. If you don't, this leans up and you'll never get the snap ring back in. So that does have to be adjusted.
Where's our little girl at?
Uh-oh. Oh, she's over there.
Okay.
She's looking for a way to escape. Now this does not have a TV motor. The later versions would have bolt holes here so you could bolt the motor on. They come in here and turn, move this linkage here. The electronic ones, basically, when you push the gas pedal, the motor would pull this back. Like that. Just like the mechanical one does. When you move the gas pedal, if you had a cable coming down here, when you push the gas pedal, it'd pull the lever back. Just like that. This has to be hooked up. This spring definitely has to be hooked up, because a lot of times when you give it gas without this spring, see that? It can stop anywhere it wants to stop at. So if it just saying if you didn't have the spring on there and it stopped right there, when you come to stop, you would have harsh downshifts because it's got TV pressure. This has to go back like that to kill the TV pressure from harsh downshifts. So now when I do set this up, I put the vehicle on the floor and I push this all the way back like that, and the cable has to set right down on top of it. The easiest way to do it is to bend the bracket right here. If the cable doesn't set down on top of it, if it's too far this way, you can bend the bracket back a little bit and get it where it sets down perfectly on there. That way, do it like that. That's how I set it up right off the bat. Go drive it, see how it feels. Make sure it doesn't have any harsh downshifts. And even with the cable hooked up like that, and adjusted like that, you can have harsh downshifts. So if you do have a harsh downshift, just take and move the cable just a little bit back. And I mean, it don't take but 30 thousandths to move it back and take that harsh downshift away if you have that issue. So, get this Overdrive housing off here. Kind of bouncing around a little bit. A lot of things going on. Get them out of the way. Okay, I'll go back to my normal routine. I kind of got off of it for a minute.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to get this TV linkage and stuff off here. This only goes on one direction. So you don't have to worry about trying to put it on because it'll be upside down. So pretty simple on that. But hey, if somebody can get it mixed up, they could. They would, huh, Teresa?
Mm-hmm. We've probably seen it.
Yep. This is your park reverse neutral linkage. These are bad about having issues on the valve body to where you can't get it out of park. A lot of people break the cable, break the shifter. Now we're going to do some repairs on that on the valve body. I'll show you here in a minute how we take care of that issue. A lot of dirt on that thing. Of course, it's a notch. You can see it's round here and got a flat side, so it only can go on one direction. Don't need a book for that one. But you do have a shifter seal right here. Of course, we'll knock this out of the case when we get the valve body out. We're replacing that seal. All your connectors right here, your cooler line connectors, also have an O-ring down in here. You just don't tighten the cooler line down. Come on out of there. Been in there a while. Oh boy, I don't think replaced them when he rebuilt it. There you go. Got a rubber O-ring that sets down here and one in here. So the cooler line seals two different ways, in a flare and this rubber O-ring right here. Now he talked about this thing honking in reverse, or excuse me, put it in park, go to open the door and the horn starts honking. So it thinks it's in reverse, so that's why there's probably fluid in the connector causing that issue. Even the isolator on the valve body can cause that issue too. I'll show you where this runs right here when I get the valve body off to make sure you put it in park. Then reverse, neutral, drive, second, low. That's how that works. It moves in and out. Definitely wore out. Most recent. Okay, we have our band adjustment right here, nut for second gear. You know, you can put a Torx bit in there and take it out. Same way. Just clean all the dirt out of the threads. And when you adjust it, you hold it with a Torx and then tighten it with a wrench. I always like to put sealant around here too, guys. Always put sealant around here because there's no seal on that nut. No seal on the thread, so you can have oil leak out of there. So that's a must right there. Of course, we got the old stock torque converter with the old ugly lugs on it. Nice, pretty blue one. I don't know who makes that converter. Of course, we would never.
That paper? Yep.
Yep, that's paper off the box when they had it in the shipping box. But we would never, I don't care what it is, we will not put a stock converter like this back in anybody's unit. Never will. These welds are bad about cracking, especially when you turn them up. It don't take much for the torque to come alive and break that right there, or the flywheel. But if you look here at a BNI converter that we're going to be putting in here, going to be an HD single disc. We're not going to be putting a triple disc in it because he's not really a crazy driver or anything like that. I don't think, are you, Billy?
Are we talking about the same person?
I'm not for sure. Well, he's got a turbo S10 pickup that's pretty nasty, so we're all racing families around here. But you can see here how this one bolts up. No way to crack anything, break anything. It's got a billet backing, got a Sonex piston on the inside. So really nice unit there. I'm gonna get to look in here though, how you can identify some things.
Ooh, that fluid's nasty.
If you look at this pump stator right here, there should have been a sealing ring on it. There's a groove right here for a sealing ring, and it's not there, it's missing. They left it off. I've heard of people leaving them off. I don't like leaving them off. But if you have a ring here, this hub right here should be smooth all the way to the bottom. So this converter right here would have took a ring, because it's smooth all the way to the bottom. If it gets wider about this far down in the hub, it does not take a ring. Okay, you got to remember that. Now, like I say, I can call Bill at BNI Torque Converters, and he'll tell me it don't matter, Richard, just leave the ring off. You know, either way, it'll work fine. But I do like to kind of keep it somewhat original in that area right there. So, making sure that's right. Looks like they put silicone. No, that's grease there. Okay, I thought the pump was siliconed in. They didn't double seal the bolts. I always double seal my bolts.
You better not splash me.
Smells good, doesn't it? Look at that, just fall right apart. I have learned, I don't know why, on these Dodges, anytime you put one of these overdrive housings on, I don't know what it is, and I've had it happen. This gasket can push out right here for some reason. I don't understand it. I've had it happen twice in my lifetime. And I just started putting some 3M through this area through here. Actually, I 3M'd the whole gasket on and set the gasket on there. That way that gasket can never move. But I swear I've had it kick out a couple times right there. If anybody else has had it happen, let me know in the comments or something. But I've seen it happen. So we just automatically glue these gaskets to the case, back of the case right there. Of course, you have your wire snap ring here. All that does is hold the overdrive clutches in so you can assemble the unit, because we build these separately. and then put it together like you see it. I'll grab this and stick it right back down on there. You can see the overdrive clutches. They were really dry, huh? For just pulling it in yesterday.
Yeah.
I think could be a lot of. On these two here, you have a backing plate and an apply plate. Always make sure the backing plate, or excuse me, the backing plate goes this way. Always goes inward like this against your two snap rings this way. The thin always goes against the ply piston. Okay, so it'll basically be sitting in there just like that. As you look down in here, we have two snap rings. We have a wavy snap ring. You can see how they got the opening of that snap ring in there like that, in this big old area. That snap ring can break off right there. See, I never do that. You always want to put the opening of the snap ring over here. Just like that. That way this is like that and the opening's over here. Same way with this one here. You can see they have this one over here, the opening of the snap ring, and then the full snap ring all the way through here. You got your flat snap ring first, and then your wavy. Then your backing plate, clutch steel, all the way to the steel, to the end. To your apply plate.
You better not splash me.
I seen it. It went over your head.
Mm-hmm.
It went way over your head. You ducked really well that time, Teresa. We're going to get in here to this big snap ring back here in the back, and we're going to open that up, and then we're going to pull this assembly out. And if you look down in here, we have that snap ring I was talking about right here. You always want to look at this snap ring because it wears. When it's like this, the bearing will push on it right here and wear the snap ring. If you flip it over, it wears it on the opposite side. It wears it on the outside. See? Inside, outside. Now when this goes into overdrive, this apply piston applying the clutch is pushing this whole shaft this direction against this snap ring. So in overdrive, going down the road, it's trying to separate these two pieces. This piston right here is coming up, pushing on the clutches, because this is crazy, guys. You got to look at this. This is how timing is so critical on this unit. I'll show you why. Look at this. This is really interesting right here, how this is. Come on, get out of here. There we go. Okay. You have a bearing here. You have a selective spacer right here. And what this spacer does, it sets the clearance between this clutch and this clutch. Alright? Because you figure this clutch is hit down on here like this. Let me just stick all this together. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because when this piston does two things when it goes into overdrive. It pushes the overdrive clutch on, and it pushes the overdrive direct clutch off with one stroke. Okay? So that tells me that if you get this off, this piston comes out, pushes on this right here, and it's also going to push on that clutch. See? So when it applies the overdrive clutch, it's going to push on this, push that 800-pound spring down, and now we have our direct clutch in here that it's going to push off. So that timing is really critical right through there, where it pushes the overdrive clutch on and the direct clutch off at the exact same time. So just think, if I'm pushing my overdrive on and I'm not going to push my direct clutch off for another 30 thousandths. See, so you're going to get a bind up right there. You're going to have two things on at one time, and that's why you cannot do that. So that's just something to know on these. I talk about clearances on these. I mean, there's like 5 different places you can change the clearances on this. Looks like they grinded on that thing there. Like they make these in different thicknesses to set that clearance. Now, I'm not going to take this apart. I don't have my press. I don't think I have it set up over there to take it apart. But we have our, I'll set it up to take it apart. How does that sound? You want to look at it, Teresa? We got time? We got time.
Okay.
We got time. Let me see. Let's go over here and see if we can take this apart real quick. Excuse the mess. My dumpster's full. And he comes today, but he just ain't made it yet. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set this in here. I'm gonna normally, when I take it apart, I do one at a time. There's the snap ring here for your direct clutch, which is a wavy, and then we have a snap ring in here that encages that 700-pound spring. Okay. Well, I'm gonna take them loose at the same time. Do it that way. But when I go back together with it, I put the spring assembly together first, then I bring it over here, and then I put the wavy snap ring after I've compressed everything down. Okay, here's our wavy snap ring. Get this out first. Right here, these are notorious about breaking. You always want to replace them. And then we have our snap ring right here. And you have this spiral, or not a spiral, but it's a round stainless looking wire. Now you do want to be very careful when you relax this, because sometimes the spring assembly does not release right. Okay, it released perfectly. It's just scary. Now we're going to take this apart. Now this is a special tool. I have 2 of them. This one I have a hole cut out in it that makes it easier to put that back together. So I have that. And we're going to take this apart. Normally this would be put together first, and then our snap ring would go in there. Okay? Then I set that to the side, and then I put it the rest of the way together. That part there. But we changed this right here. It's called a bearing backing plate. It's a kit you buy from TransStar. This always is wore plumb out. I mean, I think some shops don't even know it exists. But this keeps that spring setting perfectly level. And once this gets wore, it don't work very good. Now you can see here how it's never touched right here. But you come over here, see where it started cutting into it? This is not as bad as I've seen it. I've seen it really bad. You know, so maybe when they had this tranny rebuilt, they could have replaced this. It will come with a new bearing. That's all you get, those 2 pieces right there. Okay. Of course, this is your Overdrive sun gear. You want to look at both sides of these splines. I see wear big time here lots of times. The factory, too, I've noticed that the factory sun gear will have a wide bushing here on where the gear is, but your bushing kits come with a narrow. Kind of weird. I don't understand that. Narrow on both ends, which is normal narrow on this end, but normally your factory's a wide one, and I don't know why they shrunk that down. Kind of weird. And we have our Overdrive planet. Like I say, you want to grab these, make sure they're not wobbling. Find one loose or anything like that. They all should feel exactly the same. Look at the splines. So there's no wear. And then you have your dual roller clutch assembly. right here. You can see here a dual sprag assembly. It's one piece. Comes right up. You got to be careful, guys. You just remember, this thing will go on 2 different directions. And if you put it on backwards, it won't move until you hit the gas, but once you rev it up, boom, it'll lock, and then you'll move. Once you come to stop, you're in neutral again. So you want to just make sure that you put it to where the spring pushes the roller uphill. Always remember that. Real easy to have a bearing. Of course, you have a bushing, 2 bushings, a wide one and a little pilot bushing. You want to look here, guys, too. This is where we see a lot of wear at. Find it. This wavy snap ring I was talking about that holds your direct clutch, or your direct clutch assembly in. You want to look here and make sure it's not wore out through here, because I mean there's a lot of pressure going on this. So you want to look at that, and they make different versions of this too. So your bearing, you want to look at it. It might sound quiet rolling it like this, but if you take it off and clean it and try to force the bearing backwards, which where all the load on this bearing is this direction, you can get noise out of it. Quiet this way, pull it back, noisy, noisy. Have to replace it. Okay, look at this, guys. This is a factory clutch here. Back in the earlier days, they wanted you to put this clutch back in. But now the kit will come with new clutches and steels to do away with it, because look, it's a single-sided clutch.
Oh, that's weird.
It's just like a Z-pack. See? So when the guy built this tranny, these probably were not replaced. You know, now Transtar comes with a kit. Your overhaul kit will come with steels and new clutches. And when you get it, your kit, stack everything up, put them side to side, and make sure they're the same height. Make sure they're the exact same height. Because if it's anywhere off in that area, it's going to be off in the clearance in this part here on the ring and stuff here. It'll be off. Just believe me, it'll be off. Of course, you want to look at the backing plate here. Make sure it's not messed up anywhere here with that wavy snap ring I was talking about running. But that is a factory clutch. But it looks just like a Z-pack. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
You got your seal here that I was talking about. This is one of the seals. There's your weep hole. This starts leaking, it comes out here. The transfer case front seal starts leaking, it comes out here. There is no sealant here. That's the only problem that I see with this design. Because when I took this tranny out, when I separated the two, mud and water come out of here. So that tells me if you're in water, mud, stuff like that, this can fill up, settle down, fill up, settle down, plug up, get mud and water in here. Look at this. See? That's all mud.
Oh,
Mud.
Yeah.
See how it started rusting around this seal? So this needs to be all cleaned up, new seal. I would, even though it's supposed to drain, I would still put sealer around here, and I would plug that drain right here. Especially with new seals, I would go ahead and put sealant around here, and I would plug that drain right there. Especially if you're in water and stuff like that. That way it don't fill back up, because water is what is messing that up right there. Water and mud.
You need to squeegee that table off, young man.
A little dirty. I think it killed my smeller in my nose, because this smelled so bad that now I can't really almost smell it anymore.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I just know you're going to be slinging it.
Probably so.
Probably so.
That's what the pan looks like. Quite a bit of stuff on the magnet. Fluid was really, well, you see what the fluid looks like. You know, doesn't look good at all. Filter looks a little jacked up. Look at that. I'd say it's plugged up. We don't use a factory filter on these units at all. We never use them. Factory seal or filter does have a little rubber seal that's stuck to the filter. It's not supposed to be stuck to the valve body, but that's it right there. You don't want to put it on without it. You'll suck air right there. But we always use the 727 filter, which is this one here on every unit that we build. High flow, it sucks from the bottom and the top. Hard to plug up. You want to do it right the first time. You know what's crazy is we drive these units and break them in before we give them to the customer, and we physically do our very first service on it before we even give it to the customer. So we drive it, break it in, drop the pan. Any break-in material in the pan, we clean it out and we put a new filter on it, give it back to the customer with everything brand new with its own fresh service. So these are just dirty trannies to start with after a rebuild. You know, you can flush the cooling system all day long and not get everything out of it. You can clean this unit all day long and not ever get everything out of it. And these trannies suck off the bottom. So if it makes any trash in the pan, where's it going? Right in the filter. So junky design, but anyway, it is what it is.
Tell us how you really feel, Richard. Okay.
Make them better. We have our governor pressure sensor here, our governor pressure solenoid. We have our overdrive solenoid and our lockup solenoid. And then right here, we have our temperature sensor built into the harness right here. Okay, let me wipe my hands off real quick. We talked about the neutral safety switch, right? This is the isolator that it runs against outside the tranny. When you move your shifter, this turns. See, like that. It turns. Well, this is a new one here. We always update to the new version. These are bad about wearing, running a groove right there. See that groove? Mm-hmm. See, all the way to there, you can see it. So you always replace that, get that stuff lined out. New neutral safety switch because it's full of fluid. And then we come over here and look at this piece. Have a little snap ring, have a little washer. And this is our, what we call a rooster cone. This is what you feel in the shifter. Click, 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 click. It's a spring and a ball type system. Click, click, click. Okay. Well, it works for a long period of time, but then after a while, these start getting hard to get out of park. And what happens is the ball wears right here, and it's at the end because this ball is working on the end of this tunnel right here, in and out, just a little bit, okay? Well, Transgo come up with this nice little design of this bullet spring. It's dirty, but I'll clean it up when I build it back. Sets in there and uses the whole bore. That way, your shifter's not sloppy, you know, anything like that. It just works really good.
Much better design.
Night and day design. It almost makes the shifter, it makes it really soft because it works so much better. But I have found out, if you look at this right here is park. This little hump right there, that ball wears it out right here, and next thing you know, it doesn't want to come over that hump. So we always take and clean that up just a little bit right through here to make it where this new valve right here will slide over that hump right there a little bit better instead of getting caught there and won't come over it. Because it makes it almost flat right there instead of a ramp. So that's something you need to address too when you address this right here. Because this is what's going to be working in there. And it's got to climb that. And then tink, tink, tink. This is low. First, second, third. I mean on up the channel there, like that. So you also have a seal here. that seals your TV. This is what's on the outside. That lever turns. Pushes your TV valve in right here. You want to make sure if you rebuild it, put it in right. The flat goes down, the groove goes up. Sets in there just like that. And your washer, then your snap ring. Okay. I want to get this video, it gets so long pretty easy. We have our overdrive accumulator here. Your shift kit's going to come with different springs here. And it looks like this one already has something in here. Don't know what they did. That's kind of jicky looking. The heck is that? Yeah, somebody tried to make a homemade something over here. That ain't even right. That spring don't even move in there. But your SK kit will come with 3 springs that set in here. Put new rings and stuff in here. Take some Scotch-Brite, polish that up in there a little bit. Clean this bore, because these always get really shiny down in here. You want to check here too. A lot of times this cover, if springs broke before, this cover's beat up really bad through here. You want to make sure the bore's good too. Always bend them back that way. When I put it back together, it's already there. Unlock your connector, push there, unplug it. Same way here, just grab it, pick it up, unplug it. This has a gasket right here. Your shift kit will come with a plate right here to try to restrict a little bit of pressure going to your governing pressure sensor. That way it doesn't blow it out, because we had major issues with that before. Get off here. Solenoid sensor. Solenoid has always stayed the same. Sensor has changed from years. You notice here you have a long bolt here. These are different, got a bigger washer on it. Now when we put that filter on, it's a 3-bolt hole. Boom, boom, boom. You use all 3 bolts. With the factory filter, it's a 2-bolt. You're just going to use 2. But the yellow filter I showed you has 3 bolts. If you have a deep pan, you're only going to be using the 2 bolts of the yellow filter. This bolt right here that holds the TV bracket and stuff on, sometimes it's the same length and then sometimes it's shorter. These 2 bolts here are your alignment bolts. Start them first. I'll put them all in first, but these are 2 I snug first, and then I work my way out on torquing. Now this is your lockup valving, your overdrive valving. You're going to be cleaning all that type of stuff up. Your shift kit will come with some springs that need to be replaced. You notice here we have a dual hole. We have a tiny check ball, a little bitty baby one.
Put that in your special place.
Little bitty one. So you want to take and put that in the place that you never lose things. All right, put it over there. But that's how you can identify it. I've had them come in with that ball missing, but have that plate on it. Now you can tell here, this is a high pressure valve body. This is just a year before the electric TV motor. That's why I say 4748 RE, because how you identify a 48 RE high pressure valve body is that little tiny hole right there next to your filter. High pressure valve body. You can do modifications here. This is your 2nd gear modification. This here's your 3rd gear modification. this one and this one. If you modify this one and don't modify this one, you didn't do anything. So you have to modify that one to match that one. So it comes through here, restricted here. So you'd have to do them both. If you're doing a new Sonex servo or something like that, read the instructions before you do any modifications to your valve body, because you can get in trouble. Oh. You just got to wait. Also on this valve body right here, I don't like to go back with metal check balls. You can see here our forward ball is metal, our reverse right here is Teflon coated. Or not Teflon coated, but what do you call them, Teresa, again?
Neoprene.
Neoprene, there you go.
We haven't said
So
that
we
in a
always
while.
go back with the neoprene balls. You always want to look here and make sure that ain't beat out. The metal check ball is really bad about beating it out right here. So you want to check that. Just clean, clean, clean. It's got to be very clean. You have all your check balls there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this ball here is larger trough. All the rest of the balls are the same size. Factory manual valve, never been touched. We always replace these manual valves. These trannies are bad about converter drain back after 4 or 5 days, and then the vehicle not wanting to move until the converter fills back up. Now we are going to put a Sonex PR valve in here that has a lube circuit built into the valve. That way this tranny will pump in park and keep the converter full. That valve has been a blessing to these units, I'm telling you guys, and especially in the lube circuit area. And we have our 4-land switching valve right here. There is a modification you do to this land right here. You chamfer it just a little bit, or you can use a Sonex switching valve. This is our pressure regulator valve here. The Sonex valve will have a hole here, and it comes out on this side here of this land right here, and it's got a spring and check ball in here to give it pressurized lube in there. So there. And then we have our TV set up here. Here we go. Just like that. If you notice, it's flat here, little chamfer down in there. This will set flush, bang, bang, bang. This goes over it. That's how it goes, and it goes like this. Once you see the TV valve, the coloring going away like it's going away, especially on the edges right there, see that? How it's more, that valve is wore plumb out. Wore plumb out. Not saying that the bore is, but the valve itself definitely needs to be replaced and then recheck the bore. So a lot of interesting stuff there to do just to a valve body, huh, Teresa? Let's get on to the rest of this. We have our intermediate accumulator right here. I did forget to show you. It does have a special bolt that holds this just like that. This wiring harness on the valve body. It's got a little... It will not tighten down on it. It tightens down against the shank right there. That way this moves a little bit. That way when you put the valve body on, because I guess they all set a little bit different than each other, and that's why they have that. If not, it'll break it off right there. I've actually seen them come in broke off right there, but I wanted to throw that in there really quick. Don't want to lose that bolt. It is special. Back to the accumulator. The shift kit's definitely going to come with a different spring. Change your seals here. You can update it to an aluminum one. We have our second gear band right here, our band struts. Have our second gear servo and our reverse servo. Remember that, how loose that was? Something happened there. We have our shifter seal. Take a screwdriver and just kind of take and push it out. Now, when I put these back in, I do put some 3M around these when I put them back in this way. That way, because since it's a steel body on this seal, not guaranteed to seal, and that way I know it does seal. Like I say, I always put sealant on my bolts, even though I put a new washer on here. And because there's always fluid lots of times in these bolts. There's pressure. You can see the pressure port's right through there. You know, so if you get a leak, you're in trouble. It's going to leak out the front. And that's one thing I hate is a come back. Let me tell you. If you do it right the first time, they don't come back. Look at that pressure port's right here. There's your bolt. Pressure port, your bolt. See all this stuff, pump suction. You know, I left that one little socket. It's not my tin, but it's my chrome 1/2 inch that's been worked on a little bit and modified to be a special tool. Well, that's just a tight area down through here, and I have a chrome that I use to get in there and get that apart. Now this right here is your vent cavity. Right here, this is the vent to the tranny. Comes out the front. So if you overfill this tranny, it's going to come out here. If something happens inside the circuit or inside the barrel, where pressure gets in there, it's not supposed to be there, it's going to come out here. If you submerge it in water, it's going in here. It's going to go right in the tranny. If we're doing a 4-wheel drive, they go to the river or anything like that, we plug this up completely, and then we come back in here and we drill a hole, tap it, and we put a hose or a line all the way up to the brake master cylinder and put a vent up here on top. That way he'd have to physically bury the vehicle in water to get water inside this unit. That's a must on all of them when you do that. So
I'm sure they can do it.
oh, they can do it here, I guarantee it. We have a really nice river, and we always go down there and abuse it.
Sure we do.
Got a dimpled bushing here, you can see it. You always want to stake it. So there, they stake it. After you stake it, you want to clean it up right there, just a little bit here and a little bit here where you staked it. That way those two brass pieces don't rub a groove in your hub right there, because it can definitely do it. Pump gears, got the wide tongues on it right there. Some of them have narrow. We do have a stainless ring right here for your 3rd gear clutch. If you get a gas kit, it'll be a steel ring, and you do not want to put it in here. You know, if you have steel ones laying on the bench somewhere, anywhere laying around, you do not want to use them on this unit here. This is a high pressure unit, and they have to be stainless, or your shift kit will come with a Teflon scarf cut. You want to look down in here for anywhere where them sealing rings run. See that right there? There and there? You can see the shadow. That's just where they've been touching. It doesn't feel anywhere. Always replace this bushing. Keep that nice and tight. If not, you can have converter drain back. You want to look here. Looks really nice. You can see some of the bluing's gone, but there is no wear on that at all. Just a little bit of bluing. And then here we go. Here's what I was talking about, that ring. Comes in your kit, and it sets right down in here. Keeps the converter full. So I always like putting that back. Now here's a selective washer right here. When you start changing things up, anytime you put this in your overdrive housing, even though this is all the way at the front of the tranny, all that stuff's moving forward. So a lot of times when you put this in there, you can't even get the pump back in because this washer's too thick. So there's just so much stuff you have to check. And that's not the only place you check it at. You check it right here. You check it right here. They make 3 of these, different thicknesses. They make these multiple thicknesses. This multiple thicknesses. So there's just 3 spots right there that you're going to be checking. And then, let me turn it over. That's going to fall out. Fall. See that right there? There's another place right there you set clearances at. They make these in red, yellow, clear. plain. I mean, they just, or not clear,
Clear.
clear and plain. I guess so. You'd have to be blind to see that. But anyway, they make them in red, yellow, blue, and plain. Clear.
Clear.
Here's our intermediate band. Now this is a 727 band. You can see here 727 is a 3-speed band, which that's what we always put in them because there's more surface area. But it's wore out too. That might not, I don't know exactly how many miles this unit's got on it, but got a wavy snap ring here for 3rd gear. We have a 5-clutch drum. Now they do make a thick and a thin steel. Thick, thin. Thick in your 3rd gear, thin in your forward. Then you have a snap ring right here. Now this is a steel snap ring. Get off there. Snap ring. How about sealing ring? Now your shift kit's going to come with a Teflon one. And then right here, these are factory here. But they're really cool looking. Let me look at how they lock together. A lot of your Teflon ones, they're angle cut. So as they wear, they do move out and seal. But look how they got this one sealing. So how it locks together. And as it wears, it stays sealed. See? Mm-hmm. Like that. Pretty neat. Factory ones are fine to use on even a high pressure unit. We have our forward clutches. And then we have this wavy snap ring down in here along with this plastic little ring like that. They do make metal ones. In the early 727s had metal ones. If you find one of them, they're really nice. And you have your bevel. They make a couple different ones of these too. Then you have your apply piston. Look to see if this is anything special. This is just a factory shaft. Nothing, no billet shaft or anything like that. So I wanted to show you something here too though, guys. See that bushing, how wide that bushing is? That bushing can cause you a problem if you put it in too deep. And when you start doing clearancing, when you change this washer to a thinner one, you're going to move that drum that way. And that bushing can come in and rub right here if you have it too deep. You stick it on here like that. They always like to make it. You could go a little bit deeper. It's kind of, you can feel it there, but you don't want to go any deeper than here. But when you start doing clearances and you go thinner here, you're going to move that bushing right here closer to right here. So you got to be careful what you're doing. You want to check that. I'm going to look in here and make sure this hasn't touched here. Put in grooves in here where your 2 sealing rings run. As you can see here, that's where your 3rd gear oil comes in. So if you get really loose clearances, that's what lets stuff do this. You need them tight clearances, that way everything stays stationary. A lot of stuff. Like I said, you have a selective washer there. You have a stainless ring washer that goes here, and then your 3 tab. So that's there like that. And of course the 3 tab goes down in your input shaft, and there's multiple ways you can put it. It just won't fall in there. You have to line it up to how they got them cut. So. Really excited to see this thing has steel planets. Nobody went in there and put stole them. Yeah, that happens a lot. Excuse me. Of course, you want to look here on the end of here. You can see that funny look how it has. That's kind of normal. You can clean that up and that'll be fine. You got bushings that run here, here, and here, and here. Or this is where your support runs, and then your sun gear bushings run there. You can see our 6-tab washers. It's amazing how much force can be put on a washer and it survive, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see the pin indention beat into this washer. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. See that? That's how much force has been being pushed down on that washer on that planetary. You can see that right there, just like little chatter marks. I mean, that's still fine. Just clean it up a little bit, but put a new Sonex high impact washer, coated washer on there. You can see that one the same way. You don't see it as much down here for some reason. It's always in second gear, or the higher gear more. But you want to check here, make sure there's no pin purpling, gears wobbling, teeth missing, or anything like that. Same way with your ring gear. You want to look at your gear really good. Make sure there's no wear there. And you can look here. I talked about your sun gear here, how it's got a wide one and then a narrow one. Mm-hmm. I talked about that. Of course, they make 2 different thickness shells right here. So they changed the, let me get a sun gear and I'll show you. When they went to the steel planets and they changed it up a bunch, so they went to a thicker sun gear. The earlier versions had a thin sun gear. So you have a snap ring here and a snap ring here. The distance between here and here has changed. So if you have a thick, you have a wide here. If you have a thin, you have a thin here. So this washer here always looks brand new when you take it out. You'll never see any wear there. But then you'll start seeing some wear on this one here. Same way, it'll start pushing. This is your forward planet. So when you put in gear, and a lot of load goes on this right here. So again, Sonex makes a 6-tab high impact coated washer for that too. There's no bushing in here. They use this little plastic ring right here to keep it away from each other, and then the gear keeps it centered too. Make sure there's no wobbling. Check all your gears and pins. Same way here with your ring gear here. Check that out really good. This snap ring that I'm taking out, see how it's pointed to the bottom? I like to put it to the top when I put it in. That way I know that has to fill up with fluid before it runs out where the snap ring opening is. Where did everything go? Come on. Here we go. Like I said, this is all pressurized through here, so I like to put it to the top. That way the bottom of it would fill up with oil instead of it being at the bottom and oil just running out. Makes it a lot better that way. Keep it full of fluid. You want to look here for any wear. Your rear cooler line comes right in through here and lubricates this rear sprag assembly in this area right here first. So if you get any trash in there, it's going to wipe this out instantly. Now you can see here with the old reverse band, started rubbing in here. Of course you can see where the end of it broke off. You know, that's a good look. Well, kind of looks a little shady there. I bet the band adjustment got out on this because the band looks good and the tips look pretty good. Look at that. It looks really good.
Except for on that one side.
Yeah, on that side. But I think that's because the band adjustment was so far out of whack that it finally just broke this off right here. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. It broke it off. So, because if you notice, that's messed up. But that could have happened after the fact because all these tips look good.
Yeah.
So, but it got the drum a little bit right there. And, and that's enough to replace that drum.
Oh, yeah. That's deep.
We have our roller clutch assembly. And then we have our support down here. Case support in the back down here. Let me get this out. I mean, you can imagine how long it takes. I mean, you see how long it takes me to explain this stuff. Could you imagine how long it takes to put it together?
Well,
Long time.
I can.
Some of these trainings take 12 hours or longer. And I know the 10 speeds and all that type of stuff, that's 2-day jobs. I'm telling you, to do a professional job, you can see here, like I say, your cooler line oil comes in, comes through that hole there, lubricates all this stuff back here first. And you can see where it just starts messing it up. Now, I do enlarge this hole here, try to get a little bit more oil in this area, because that's where that runs at. Okay. And your output shaft comes through there, or your intermediate shaft, excuse me. So that's got to be replaced. That's got to be replaced. Band's got to be replaced. Then you have your servos. Got your reverse servo here. See if it did any damage to it. Where'd that pin come out? Here's that pin. This pin sets in the case, and that's what your band hooks onto. See if it broke or damaged that. Take it apart and check it out. See if it's wore out in the bore or anything, because this does have a spring, so it slides in this piston right here. So you want to make sure it's not cracked down in here. And you have your intermediate, your second gear. I'd say if you do any type of modifications to this area right here, always read your instructions before you do any modifications to your valve body, because that servo right there, your second gear, your third gear and stuff all works off this stuff right here. So you can see that little weepo right there, that's a cushion. Actually, I don't think there's any, nope, it's already pushed down. But there's actually, that's how they soften the band a little bit. Kind of take the reverse band and the manual second timing out a little bit, I think is what I would say. Because these have bad timing issues when you manually shift them and stuff. Okay, got a seal, got a spring. The shift kit, they'll take and drop a spacer down in there, and when you put that back in, it doesn't slide in and out no more. It's solid. But it's pretty neat. A lot of stuff, huh, Teresa?
Yep.
I'm glad you watched me, because I'm going to play hooky for a few days, and when I come back, I hope this is built and put back in the truck. Will you do that for me, please?
No.
It ain't
My
happening.
arms are about to go. Oh.
She's tired, yeah, holding the
My
camera. It takes
arms-
a long time. I bet
Yeah,
this is a
I'm
long
having to
video.
hold my body up, my arms up against my body just to keep the camera steady. But I'm
But
done.
we thank you a lot, Teresa. Everybody thanks you for doing that for us, definitely. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe, push the notification bell. We do have something coming up that we're going to be talking about here shortly in the video, so y'all stay tuned. Have a great day.